At least 59 migrants have died and dozens more are missing after their boat hit rocks and sank in rough seas off southern Italy. A preliminary meeting was held at the weekend ahead of China's upcoming Communist Party Central Committee, dubbed the Two Sessions. This signals an official launch of President Xi Jinping's third term and a reshuffle of the leadership. North Korea discusses agricultural issues in a key party meeting presided over by the leader Kim Jong-un, a rare one in that it's focusing just on agricultural matters. A preliminary meeting of the Chinese Communist Party Central Committee kicked off Sunday to review the agenda to be presented at this year's annual political event dubbed the Two Sessions. And at this year's event, a reshuffle of the party state organization is expected. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off this morning.
Members of the Chinese Communist Party Central Committee, who were elected at the 20th Party Congress last October, came together on Sunday to begin a key meeting to carry out the agenda for a major reshuffle of the party and the government ahead of next month's Two Sessions. According to China's state-run Xinhua news agency on Sunday, the three-day plenary session in Beijing began with President Xi Jinping presenting a work report. And the plenary session is garnering all the more attention this time, as China is expected to announce new leadership in the party, including a new premier who will take over the role long held by Li Keqiang, who's now retiring. Not to mention, aside from President Xi, most of the officials at the top are expected to be replaced. With the Two Sessions marking the official launch of President Xi's third term as China's leader, a lot of other changes are expected within the party and the government. This may also include a plan to launch what's being tentatively called the Home Affairs Committee to oversee police, counterintelligence, and immigration, an organization that some watchers are comparing to the former Soviet Union's KGB. Pundits predict major changes within the party and the government at this year's Two Sessions, but most importantly, President Xi is set to strengthen his grip on power. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The U.S. is sending a clear warning to China as it's closely watching Beijing's potential supply of lethal military aid to Russia for its war in Ukraine. Speaking to ABC and CNN on Sunday, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Beijing has not made its final decision to supply weapons, but the plan has not been taken off the table. Sullivan, however, added that sending arms to Russia would be a, quote, real mistake and would result in a real cost. The comments come as the U.S. and NATO have been accusing China of considering providing Russia with weapons like drones and ammunition. Beijing has dismissed the accusations. As North Korea increases its nuclear and missile capabilities, Seoul and Washington are working with Tokyo to increase their deterrence measures at sea. Our Oh Soo-young has more.
A U.S. nuclear-powered submarine has made a symbolic visit to South Korea's southern port city of Busan, demonstrating the Allies' sea-based deterrence against North Korea's nuclear and missile threat. The 6,000-ton USS Springfield fast attack submarine arrived on Saturday on a scheduled visit, according to the U.S. Pacific Fleet. This comes as Seoul and Washington bolstered their joint measures to respond to potential strikes by the North, holding tabletop exercises in Washington and a naval missile defense drill with Tokyo in the EC last week.
There's a great deal of force that can be applied from sea-based platforms. Of course they can. If you look at the cruise missiles that have been used by Russia against Ukraine, most of them have been fired from warships at sea.
North Korea, for one, has been developing a sea-based deterrent with submarines that can carry ballistic missiles.
To offset this capability, South Korea will need to continually improve its anti-submarine warfare capabilities. And given that the US and Japan both have formidable ASW forces, they can add and should assist in this respect.
As warfare technology continues to advance, it is crucial for the Allies to ramp up maritime cooperation to improve intel sharing and interception skills.
Within about 5 years, everything and everyone on the planet is going to be detectable by some means or another. So the ability to use the sea as a stealth environment is incredibly important. And that's everything from the seabed, you can use those for structures and sensors and things like that, but also submarine and semi-submersible platforms as well.
amid concerns that Pyongyang is growing its capability to overwhelm ground-based missile defense systems. The North threatened last week to destroy the Allies' air bases.
The South Korean naval assets, on the other hand, are huddled for North Korea to strike. It must first be able to detect these assets and then pinpoint and strike them, both of which are daunting tasks. This is particularly true for submarines like the KST-3, which are incredibly difficult for North Korea to target, given North Korea's limited anti-submarine warfare capabilities.
The naval commanders of South Korea, US, and Japan last week held talks to discuss joint maritime exercises going forward. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
North Korea is holding a key plenary meeting on agriculture, presided over by its leader Kim Jong-un. According to Pyongyang state media on Monday, the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea kicked off a plenary meeting on Sunday, focused on reviewing its rural development programs and addressing urgent tasks. No details are out on the agenda, but reports said the plenary meeting will continue. Topping the agenda is likely to be increasing grain production amid worsening food shortages due to COVID-19 lockdowns, sanctions, and falling crop production. Plenary sessions are usually held just once or twice a year, but this session is the North's second in the space of just 2 months. Spring is just around the corner, and that means so is the new spring semester here in South Korea. The upcoming semester will be a whole lot different for many students who can now enjoy school life under much eased virus rules like no mask wearing. For more, we turn to Professor Choi Young-jun from Korea University Anam Hospital here in Seoul. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
So, first off, it's been 2 weeks since the vaccination program for infants and young children aged from 6 months to 4 years began here in the country. So far, how is the vaccination rate among the targeted group?
So the vaccination rate is still very low. The data is not readily available to the public at this moment. But as of last week, about 1,000 children have been vaccinated so far, which is out of total population of 1.1 million. So the rate is still very low at 0.1% or still less than 1% at this moment.
Right, that is very low compared to other age groups. Now, then why do you think many parents are hesitant of getting their children vaccinated? I mean, what's the right or even appropriate move in the so-called endemic era?
So there were several surveys that was done here in Korea. We measured that many parents, because of either lack of information, lack of trust with the science or the medicine, they might have a negative perception of the vaccine's effectiveness. They might hear rumors about the vaccines causing something bad to their babies, or they themselves may have experienced the adverse events. And so I guess we should provide the parents with the accurate and reliable information of the vaccine's effectiveness and safety, which is very important to increase the uptake of the COVID vaccine in children.
Right, getting the accurate, correct, and most up-to-date information for those vulnerable groups is quite crucial at the moment. And now students will begin the semester in completely mask-free settings soon, including during their lunchtime. Do you think it's now safe to enjoy classes without masks? What do students need to be careful or cautious of particularly?
I believe, yes, students can enjoy classes without mask safely now. Now we have the Omicron variant, which is less severe in children without any underlying diseases. Also, there are the cost of wearing the mask in many ways, like it can be uncomfortable for the children, particularly for long periods in a warm environment. It covers the nose and mouth that can make the verbal or non-verbal communication difficult, especially for the children. They might have a wrong inference about the emotions of others who are partially covered their faces. Can be not accurate. So I think above all, with measuring the risk and the cost and the benefit of wearing a mask, I think it is now the time the students can safely enjoy their classes without a mask.
Right, and still we do have to remember that mask wearing is now recommended, it's not completely gone, right?
Exactly.
And COVID infections have been on a downward trend here in South Korea, hovering around 10,000 a day recently. But do you think the new school term under much eased virus rules can be a variable, possibly bringing the spike in terms of COVID-19 number of virus?
I think in the setting of the COVID endemic, we probably should not be caring about the total number of the patients. Rather, we probably have to focus on the number of the patients who are very sick or very ill because of COVID, meaning we should now focus on the high-risk patient who can be serious when getting their COVID. So far, we have had various measures to prevent from COVID, and still vaccine is the only way to protect from the severe COVID. So I think it is now time for us to focus on vaccinating on people who can be serious when getting their COVID.
Right. We do have new cases being reported every day, but we do have to keep in mind that we have those severely ill patients at hospitals still.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Professor, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
BTS member J-Hope has cancelled his request to delay his military enlistment, and instead he is set to begin his mandatory military service. According to his agency Big Hit Music on Sunday, an announcement will be made as soon as the notice of enlistment is available, although a specific time frame for enlistment was not given. The latest announcement comes as fellow BTS member Jin began his military service 2 months earlier. In the meantime, his agency also announced Monday that J-Hope is set to unveil a solo album on the street this Friday. The 2023 Mobile World Congress MWC is back in Spain. This year, the world's biggest telecom fair is all about AI, 5G, and a hint of 6G too. Our Lee Dae-hyun tells us what to expect.
The biggest mobile and telecommunications trade show in Europe is back. The 2023 edition of the Mobile World Congress, hosted every year in Barcelona, kicks off on Monday. And the themes for this year's show: 5G, fintech, open net, cloud technology, digital everything. The goal of the MWC is to show the expansion of telecommunication technologies, which create opportunities in industries ranging from entertainment and manufacturing to smart mobility. More than 2,000 companies and institutions from around 200 countries are taking part, while over 80,000 visitors are expected. South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics will have its latest products and services on display, including the Galaxy S23 series and Galaxy Book 3 Ultra. The company will also showcase its 5G network technology and a roadmap for the next generation 6G network. One of South Korea's biggest wireless telecommunications operators, SK Telecom, will introduce the company's developments in AI, urban air mobility or UAM, 6G, and the metaverse. Under the theme of AI, the wave of innovation, visitors to SK's booth can experience UAM and AI-based robots in person. The company's CEO will also likely give a speech about plans to boost their AI technology. Another South Korean mobile carrier, KT, is set to present its full-scale AI-related services at the event. This includes a solution to increase the efficiency of AI logistics center operations and a service that provides real-time optimized transportation routes using AI technology. The recent AI chat fad, ChatGPT, is also a key technology for visitors to look forward to. Microsoft's booth is expected to be packed with visitors trying to experience the generative AI-based software. Meanwhile, China's participation in the event is also garnering attention as the country did not participate at CES 2023, which was held last month, largely due to the country's zero-COVID policy and growing competition in U.S.-China technology sectors. Beijing's biggest ICT companies, including Huawei and Xiaomi, are expected to showcase their latest mobile products at a large-scale exhibition. Lee Dae-hyun, Arirang News.
Hundreds of thousands of people in South Korea struggle to fall asleep at night. To help people suffering from insomnia, the domestic sleep tech market is rapidly evolving with smart mattresses and the approval of the nation's first digital therapeutics. Our Lee Soo-jin has more.
Insomnia, a common type of sleep disorder, is giving people across the globe sleepless nights. But it has also become a burgeoning business. In Korea, the number of people suffering from insomnia has been on an upward trend for the past 4 years, with more than 680,000 people seeking treatment in 2021. The global market for insomnia treatments was worth more than $5 billion in 2022 and is slated to top $6 billion by 2028. As the market continues to grow, the sleep tech industry has seen the release of many promising products.
One of those sleep tech products is this smart mattress. It uses new materials and shifts to fit your body as you move in your sleep.
One domestic home appliance company jumped into the sleep tech industry with the release of smart mattresses late last year.
We have replaced the springs in our mattresses with the more advanced sleep style technology. With sleep style technology, the hardness of the mattress can be adjusted to the user.
Sleep tech devices are not the only area of the insomnia market that is advancing. South Korea's Ministry of Food and Drug Safety on the 15th gave its first domestic marketing approval for the digital therapeutic app Soms for insomnia treatment.
This is the first time that a digital therapeutics device developed by a Korean company has received a domestic marketing license, thereby providing insomnia patients with a new treatment method.
The Soms app treats sleep disorders by giving real-time feedback on sleep habits over 6 to 9 weeks.
Patients fill out sleep journals every day. The sleep efficiency index is then calculated based on these entries. The journal entries also help patients keep track of how they slept at night. This helps patients take the first step in curing insomnia, realizing what their sleeping habits are and how much their sleeping disorder has progressed.
There are still several hurdles to overcome for domestic digital therapeutics as they are not yet included in the state health insurance system. The future of the domestic insomnia market remains bright, though, as cutting-edge sleep tech products and digital therapeutics continue to emerge. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
For a look at the news from around the world, we now turn to our Matthew Ashley joining us here in the studio. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Dami.
We begin in Italy this morning, where dozens of migrants have died after a boat sank off the country's coast.
Well, that's right. At least 59 people have died after a boat believed to be carrying some 150 migrants crashed into rocks near the coastal town of Crotone in southwest Italy on Sunday morning local time. Now, 12 children are among the dead, and the death toll is expected to rise as several passengers remain missing. Around 80 people have been rescued so far, including one who has been arrested on charges of migrant trafficking. Now, the vessel is said to have left Turkey around 3 days ago. The passengers included refugees from Pakistan, Iran, Somalia and Afghanistan, many of whom were fleeing conflict and poverty. Now, the tragedy comes as Italy's government is looking to stem the inflow of migrants and close illegal immigration routes. Moving on to Nigeria now, where vote counting for the country's presidential and parliamentary election is underway. The elections are the tightest in the history of Africa's most populous nation, as 3 of the 18 presidential candidates have a good chance of winning. The elections started Saturday local time, with some polling stations closing later than planned on Sunday. This because of delays caused by isolated cases of violence by armed groups and technical issues. Although some states have announced preliminary results, the process is expected to take several days. Nigeria's new leader will face a slew of issues, including cash shortages, high living costs, and attacks by groups known locally as bandits, responsible for killings and kidnappings, usually for ransom. Meanwhile, in Israel, around 160,000 people protested in the capital of Tel Aviv on Saturday in opposition to the Supreme Court override bill. Joined by smaller demonstrations nationwide, protesters are angry at Israel's far-right government's attempts to implement judicial reform. This would allow it to overrule Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority in parliament. The proposed reform would also allow the government to nominate judges and removes the court's ability to determine the government appointments unreasonable. Both clauses passed the early stages of the process last Wednesday and need to pass 2 more parliamentary votes in order to become law. Now, the protest marks the 8th week that people have gathered in increasing numbers to protest against the reform. And finally, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has become the country's first sitting leader to march at Sydney's gay and lesbian Mardi Gras parade. Joining tens of thousands of revelers and hundreds of floats on Saturday local time, the PM called the festivities a celebration of modern Australia. Now, this is not the first time that Albanese has been at the parade, as he first attended the event in 1983. Marking its 45th iteration, this year the parade has returned to its home in Oxford Street after COVID-19-induced restrictions saw it temporarily relocated. The parade also coincided with Sydney World Pride 2023, an international event promoting LGBTQ issues and running until March 5th.
Good morning. Dryness in the air is getting worse and there's no significant rainfall in sight to ease the conditions. So fire concern looks to prevail for a while with reports of wildfire across Korea. So please be extra careful with anything that could start a blaze. Temperatures though stay on the mild side. Morning temperatures are a couple of degrees higher than the same time yesterday, but feels like temperatures are much lower this morning. Afternoon highs will rise fast to reach double digits under sunny skies nationwide today. But it's that unwelcome guest again. The fine dust level looks to be high in most of western parts of the country today. Then afternoon temperatures will be 2 to 4 degrees higher than yesterday, so we're topping out at 11 degrees Celsius, Daegu, Gwangju at 15 degrees Celsius. Well, we'll notice spring is coming this week with wide temperature gaps and a light mix of rain and snows in the forecast on Wednesday in some parts, which is Independence Movement Day here in Korea. With that in mind, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
That wraps up today's New Day at Arirang. Do stay with us for more updates throughout the day. Thanks for watching.